going to go ahead and show you guys what's inside my pack. So as I go through here, this is stuff that I do think is absolutely essential for fly fishing. This is stuff that you should have with you when you go out on the river. Tackle is stuff that's really important because if you get out there and you don't have the right thing, it could ruin your day. So just keep in mind, everything that comes out of this bag is something I highly recommend you invest in before you go fly fishing. First, a good pair of sunglasses. What makes a good pair of sunglasses for fly fishing? Well, I think a nice polarized lens. I go ahead and I actually buy specific polarized lenses from a company called Revan Optics. They make really great polarized lenses that come in all different colors for depending on where you're fishing. For trout fishing, I prefer to use either a copper lens or more of a brown lens, but if I'm going to go saltwater fly fishing, I change up the lens color. It's going to help me see better. All lenses are going to be polarized, but when I go to a saltwater flat, I'm going to prefer more of a green mirror lens, whereas when I go deep sea fishing, I'm going to prefer a blue mirror lens. So keep that in mind. If you have a great pair of sunglasses that you really like and are comfortable, but maybe the lenses aren't polarized, you can buy just the lenses for your sunglasses. So you don't have to go out and buy a brand new pair of sunglasses, but a pair of polarized sunglasses is really key and helpful when fly fishing. Why? Because you can actually see the fish when you wear polarized sunglasses. What polarized lenses do is they cut out the glare on the water, so you're actually able to see through the water and see the fish below the surface. That's going to help you a lot when you're fly fishing. It's really funny when I take clients out, and a lot of clients won't have polarized sunglasses, and halfway through the day I make them try on my sunglasses and they can't believe the difference and how well they can see. So obviously it's important to have sunglasses to keep your eyes protected from the sun and from the hooks from flies, but it's also really helpful to have a good pair of polarized lenses on your sunglasses. Next, I have my flies. Obviously you're going to need flies when you go out in the river. I typically carry 3 boxes with me. I have a dry fly box, a streamer box, and a nymph box. For me, having them organized like this is great. I obviously need to have access to a lot of flies when I'm guiding, but if I were to ever just go out for fun on my own, I might try and keep it light and just take 1 box and add dry flies, streamers, and nymphs into the 1 box. Next, we have the tippet. We talked a little bit about this. This is super important. You're going to use this all day long. You're going to need to have tippet with you in your fly pack. A good pair of pliers. These pliers are some of the best fly fishing pliers you can get. These are called Able pliers. They're really great. They're super strong. They're wonderful for both saltwater and freshwater fishing. They can crimp any barb. They can also cut any sort of line, tippet, leader. They have a really good nipper on them, as well as a mouthpiece and a nose piece to crimp things that you need to crimp. I will say one thing, these are expensive pliers. They're about $300, but over time you can get the jaws replaced on the pliers, and I think they charge around $20 or $25, and you send them in and they send back a brand new, fresh, sharp pair of jaws on your pliers. So I've had these pliers for 5 years, I think, and I just had the jaws replaced for the 2nd time, and they're super sharp. They feel brand new. So while expensive in the beginning, they're a really good investment to have. In addition to a good pair of strong pliers, I also carry with me a pair of forceps. These are great for if a tiny little fly gets stuck in a trout's mouth, and these are too big and bulky to get it out. It's really important to have one of these. Sometimes a fish will swallow a fly, and you need to be able to get down there to be able to remove the hook. These are sometimes too bulky and thick to get down there, so it's really important to have one of these with you for the safety of the fish. If you're just starting out fly fishing, you don't need an expensive pair of pliers. You can get away with just fishing with a simple pair of hemostats or forceps. So keep that in mind. This is totally great to go fly fishing. You don't need to spend $300 to go fly fishing on pliers. See right here on both of these packs, we have these little zingers, and attached to the zinger is a little pair of nippers. Throughout the day, we're constantly clipping lines. Some people will use their teeth, but I highly recommend against that. It's really bad for your teeth to bite the tippet or the leader. Just avoid doing that. Instead, get a good pair of nippers. They sell these little zingers at every fly shop. It's really nice because it's always right there, super flexible and easy to get around and use. You're going to use this all day long. It's essential. You need it to go fly fishing. The next thing I like to keep in my pack is extra leaders. We talked a little bit about leaders and how important they are throughout the day. I always carry a couple different sizes of leaders and maybe 3 to 4 packs of leaders in my pack. Sunscreen. I don't think I need to go into this too much, but always carry some sunscreen with you. You're on the water. We want to make sure we're staying safe. One of the most important things that you can carry in your fishing pack is your fly fishing license. We all need a fly fishing license to go fly fishing, and you need to have it on you in most states. You need to have it on your person. So this just stays in my fly fishing pack all year long. I don't take it out. I know it's there. It's always safe. Make sure you have a fly fishing license, make sure it's up to date, and make sure you have it with you. I also like to carry in my pack, this is a pretty cool thing, both dry shake and floatant. Floatant is also sometimes called gink. Basically, this is a gel that we put on our fly when we dress our fly in the morning. Dress means to add this to it before we start fishing. So as we're dressing our fly in the morning, I go ahead and I put a little bit of gink on top of the fly. I rub it in. It's basically a gel that keeps it water resistant. So as we're casting our dry fly, we don't want that fly to sink. Dry flies are supposed to sit on the surface. So if we put this on it, it's going to help keep it water resistant and keep it from getting waterlogged and sinking. That being said, remember you only use this on dry flies. You would not put this on a fly like a nymph or a streamer. Those are meant to sink. This is just for flies that are meant to stay on the surface. And then we also have dry shake. This is basically a silicone-based powder, which is great to use throughout the day once your fly gets wet. You use this in the beginning of the day only on a dry fly. You use this throughout the day on a wet fly. So they both have the same purpose of keeping the fly dry and afloat, yet you use them at different times. That's a key tip. A lot of people think you can use this throughout the day, but putting gink on a wet fly will actually make it sink more. So remember that. Gink should only be used on a dry fly. Whereas dry shake, you can put a wet or waterlogged dry fly in here, shake it up, blow off the powder, and then it's all nice and dry for you to fish again. Next we have strike indicators. Strike indicators look an awful lot like a bobber. That's because they are. We just in fly fishing like to use the fancy term strike indicator, but it's basically a bobber. We use these when we're fishing with flies that sit below the surface. We put this on our fly line, it floats, and if a fish comes to grab one of our flies that's below the surface, we're going to see some sort of movement in our strike indicator, which lets us know that we have a fish on our fly. In addition to strike indicators, I always carry a little bit of split shot or weight with me. I just have this little old film case that I carried in, but a lot of the times it comes ready to go in a little plastic bag or box. But anyway, as you can see, these are just little weights, and you would add these to a fly line if you want your nymphs to sink down lower in the water column or sink down lower in the stream. We're going to show you guys later how to set up a nymph rig, and we're going to show you where to put weight, where to put strike indicators, so you have some idea on how to use both of these. The one final thing that I like to carry in my fly pack at all times is just a knife, because sometimes you need it when you're making lunch, or if something gets caught on something that you really can't nip it out with your nippers. Sometimes it's just safe to have a knife with you if you need to cut something that's really thick or strong, or maybe a branch gets stuck on your bag or something like that. So it's just a good thing to have. I use it most of the time for food on the river, but it always comes in handy every so often. So I usually carry a pocket knife with me. And then the final thing that I have in my pack besides my rain jacket is a water bottle. It's always good to stay hydrated on the river. You don't want to be drinking water from the river, obviously, so bring some clean water and keep hydrated throughout the day. These are the essential things that I keep in my fly pack. Apart from the pliers, I do think everything's essential, and if you're going to head out fly fishing, you need to have all these different pieces of tackle.